We're gonna make sure we record this time. Yay, okay. And then I just gotta share my screen and we'll get started. Okay, everybody, welcome this morning to our round 2 of our EFT class. We didn't get it recorded this first time and lots of people missed it, so we're doing round 2 and I'm excited. Oh, hold on one second. Gracie. I guess Gracie wants to be in the video. Okay, so welcome, and I'm super excited to teach you guys about this today. So we're just going to start right off. What is EFT tapping? So EFT, also known as emotional freedom technique, is a powerful holistic healing technique that's been proven to effectively resolve a range of issues, things from phobias, stress, anxiety, depression, emotional disorders, chronic pain, addiction, weight control, limiting beliefs, you name it. Now, some will say, well, is it a cure-all for everything? No, but I'm going to tell you guys more about why it can be used for such a wide range of issues as we move along. So it is such an amazing tool because it can be used for a lot of things. So tapping therapy is based on combined principles of ancient Chinese acupressure and modern psychology. Tapping with fingertips on meridian points or endpoints of the body while focusing on negative emotions or physical sensations can help to calm the nervous system. It rewires the brain to respond in healthier ways and restores the body's balance of energy. So Gary Craig used to always say that all imbalances in the body are created by a blockage of energy. So how I found EFT, I was kind of struggling with something. I'd been doing energy work for a lot of years, and you know, I just had some things that really felt stuck, and I just felt like I couldn't move no matter what I did. And I actually was kind of praying one day, and I came across a video after a heartfelt plea to God, and he just put this video in my path, and I tapped along with this girl on YouTube, and when I got done, I felt like a completely different person. It was similar to the experience I had the first time I did the emotion code, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So I got the Tapping Solution book, and before I was ever even certified, I kind of started practicing on my clients. And one day I had a client, first-time client, that somebody had referred to me, and she had tinnitus ringing in her ears, and she had it for over 30 years. And when I talked to her, she had basically said that at that point she was kind of suicidal because it was so bad that she couldn't even handle it. And so I decided just randomly to have her tap. And so when I started, I asked her SUDS, and she said emphatically that she was over a 10. And so we kind of tapped on it for 30 minutes. I was able to come to the conclusion by asking her lots of questions that the ringing in her ears was caused by some betrayal, some things she had heard from some family members that were really painful for her, and they still felt really painful for her. And we tapped on that, and we got done after 30 minutes, and I asked her where she was on the SUDS scale, and she said she was at a 2 with tears in her eyes, and she was just shocked. She was like, nothing has ever made this big of a difference for me. And I was kind of shocked because I hadn't had a ton of experiences up to that point except my own. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing ever. Like, look what this did for this lady. And I knew immediately that I wanted to get certified. And so then I started taking classes to get certified. So we're going to start by telling you about the history of EFT, but we have to go back and start with TFT. So Dr. George, I think is his name, George Callahan, he was a psychotherapist, and he worked with a lot of people who had phobias and extreme issues. And he had a client, her name was Mary, and she had a severe phobia of water, so bad so that she couldn't bathe her kids. She couldn't take showers. She had to wash with a washcloth. Like, I mean, sometimes she would even get terrified if a glass of water was too big. I mean, that's pretty severe, right? So her level of fear was really, really high, and Dr. Callahan had been working with her for about a year, and he was using all kinds of things like immersion therapy and hypnosis and systematic desensitization, biofeedback, and more. And so he was using some alternative techniques, right? But none of these had worked for her. So he had her one day at his house near his pool, and they were doing some immersion therapy. And, you know, he had been really disappointed with the lack of results up until that point. So he was studying lots of different things. He was actually studying under George Goodhart, who is a creator of applied kinesiology and who used muscle testing and different things. And Dr. Callahan had been taking a class of his where he had been learning about meridians. So in a year, the only progress Mary had made was to be able to sit at the edge of the pool and put her feet in, but not without extreme anxiety. And after sessions near the pool, she would leave with a pounding headache from the stress of the immersion therapy. So during one therapy session, Mary revealed that thinking about water left her with this terrible feeling in the pit of her stomach. And so Dr. Callahan got this amazing like flash of insight, and he's like, you know, I've been learning about this stomach endpoint, which ends right here under the eyes. And he's like, I'm going to have her just tap on that point while she talks about what's going on. So can you guess what happened next? So I love this way Dr. Callahan tells this story, so I'm just going to read it to you. He says, after 2 minutes, Mary stopped tapping and she looked at me with amazement in her eyes. It's gone, she exclaimed. What's gone? The awful feeling in the pit of my stomach. It's completely gone. And before I could say another word, she sprang up from her chair and began running towards the pool. She was smiling and even laughing and picking up speed. I suddenly realized that if Mary didn't put on the brakes, she would end up in the pool, and I knew she couldn't swim. At that moment, it was me who was feeling terrified. Mary, look out, I shouted as I sprang after her. Mary stopped briefly. She looked back at me with an enormous grin on her face and said, don't worry, Dr. Callahan, I know I can't swim. At the pool's edge, Mary gazed briefly at her reflection, then bent down and splashed water on her face, and I watched with amazement. It's gone, Dr. Callahan, she explained. I'm not afraid anymore. And as you can imagine, he was completely dumbfounded. He was like, what just happened? I know I would be. So, how did Dr. Callahan know to have her tap under her eyes? Like I said, he'd been taking a class with Dr. Goodhart, and he had been really curious about the functioning of the body and the mind around that time and been studying the meridian endpoints. And so what are meridians? Meridians are the basis of ancient Chinese medical system of acupuncture, and they are channels that carry the vital life force, qi, or as the Chinese call it, qi, to the organs and other systems of the body. And so there's 12 main meridian points, but then there's also many more than that. But the ones we work with in EFT are the 12 main ones. So running up and down either side of the body, each meridian is associated with a different organ, such as stomach, gallbladder, kidney, and so on. So as a result of his experience with Mary, Dr. Callahan deepened his study of meridian endpoints, exploring the combination of traditional psychotherapy with tapping on different parts of the body, and he developed a set of algorithms where he figured out certain points would work for certain issues. And so in his book, he gives you algorithms where you know, like, let's say you have a stomach issue, you would tap like, you know, on 2 specific points or something, or so and so he kind of toyed with these and created what he called thought-filled therapy. And so he was training lots of people in it, and they were having great success, but he charged like massive amounts of money to learn how to do this. It was like something like $20,000 to $30,000 at the time, which was like, this was back in the 80s. So that's a lot of money, right? So enters Gary Craig and EFT. So after learning and using Callahan's algorithms as a student of his, as an engineer, Gary's like, there's got to be an easier way. And he had kind of a different mind. He wasn't trained in therapy or anything. And so he was kind of coming at it from a different perspective. And Gary figured out that this sequence of tapping isn't as important as simply just doing the tapping. And so to make tapping easier, he created a single sequence, which is the basis of what is now known as EFT, or emotional freedom technique. So the EFT sequence was designed to hit all the major meridian endpoints, regardless of the issue. And so he found that by tapping on all the points while describing what was going on, that you know, it would be just as effective. So Gary's genius lay not in only simplifying the process and adding some refinements, but also in creating a community around the technique. And so he got lots of people involved, and he documented case after case of people using it for themselves, and then he shared his experiences with the world. So he was very vocal about it. So thousands of people around the world are now aware of tapping and use it on a daily basis. And I have to give a shout out to Nick Ortner and the tapping solution, because Nick has also been a pioneer in this field and really getting tapping out there and sharing it with people. If you don't know about the Tapping Solution book or the Tapping Solution app, I highly recommend them both. They're some of my favorite tools. So in the 3 decades that followed Dr. Callahan's discovery with Mary, no Western scientific explanation for tapping could be found. So it was kind of like this mystery, this enigma, like this is amazing and it works, but we don't know how. So how is it that Mary and so many others lost their phobias and anxiety and other problems simply by tapping certain acupoints? So in just the past few years, however, much has been learned about the science behind tapping, which is really exciting. So just a little, excuse me, just a little bit about how, to kind of give you an idea of why tapping works, I'm going to teach you just a little bit about how the stress response works in the body. So you can create a stress response in your body with just a thought. So this is a good exercise. Try it now. Think about your family getting the coronavirus and notice on a scale of 1 to 10 how much your stress level goes up. So when you are experiencing a negative emotional state, angry or upset or fearful, your brain goes on alert. It is preparing your body to either enter a full-blown fight or flight response. This response is generated by the stress hormone cortisol. All the body's defense systems are turned on to support either fighting or fleeing from danger. So your adrenaline pumps, your muscles tense, your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up, your blood sugar rises to give you more energy, and it's all designed to help you meet the challenge of whatever this stressor is. So imagine what kind of effect this has on your body when you're experiencing this all every day. So the stressors in ancient days were very real threats to survival, right? We've all heard about this tiger in the bush. Today, however, the fight or flight response is rarely activated by a physical threat. And I would say right now it probably is, but normally it's not. So for many of us, the internally generated stress response is triggered by a negative memory or thought that has its roots in past trauma or conditioned learning from childhood. So you might be saying, well, my body doesn't go into fight or flight over little events in my life, but in fact it does. So when you add up hundreds, even thousands of these responses in a given week or a month, it creates a cumulative effect on the body and mind, and it's massive. It's not the adrenaline and cortisol rush you'd get if you were to be chased by a tiger, but it's a lower grade response, but it has just as much of an effect on the body. So the ongoing fight or flight response leaves us worn down, sick, upset, overweight, stressed out, and just generally unhappy with our life situations. So what tapping does with amazing efficacy, I might add, is it halts the fight or flight response, and it helps to reprogram the brain, which is my favorite part, and body to act or react differently in stressful situations. So just a little bit about the limbic system of the brain. So the amygdala comes from the Greek word for almond, and is one of the components of the limbic system, or the midbrain. So it's right in the center part of that brain. So the amygdala, also known as the reptilian brain, or the early, most primitive part of the brain, lives in the limbic system. The limbic system is the source of emotions, long-term memory, and it's where negative experiences are encoded. So when you experience a negative situation, your amygdala records that memory so that in the future, if you have the same experience, it knows how to act or react. So the amygdala has been called the body's smoke detector, and it's any early negative experience can program the amygdala to raise the alarm when something similar triggers it in the future. So what tapping does to the amygdala, tapping seems to turn off the amygdala's alarm, deactivating the brain's arousal pathways, or the parts of you that send you into stress, or excuse me, that send you into, cortisol release and the high blood pressure and the heart pumping and, all that. So tapping on the meridian endpoints sends a calming signal to the body, and the amygdala recognizes that it's safe. So what's more is tapping while experiencing or even discussing a stressful event counteracts that stress and reprograms the hippocampus, which compares past threats with present signals and tells the amygdala whether or not the present signal is an actual threat. So this was kind of discovered by Dr. Peta Stapleton. She is a researcher in Australia, and she has a really awesome TED Talk. You should go check it out, where she talks about how she was doing a class and a girl that she was with another therapist, and this girl was having like a full-on meltdown during the class, and she decided to take her aside and have her tap. And within 5 minutes or so, I think 5 to 8 minutes, I think she said, they were able to come back and join the group again. And afterward, this other doctor was like, what did you just do with her? And so she was right in the middle of having this like anxiety or panic attack, and Dr. Stapleton was able to get her to literally, you know, end the panic attack and be able to actually feel good enough to rejoin the group. And if you've ever had a panic attack, you know it usually doesn't end that quickly. So it's really exciting how tapping has that effect on the amygdala and can literally shut it off. So some proof. Harvard Medical School has done research over the past decade on meridian acupoint stimulation. What they found is that when these endpoints are stimulated, activity in the amygdala, hippocampus, and part of the brain associated with fear decreases. In fMRI and PET brain scans, you can clearly see the amygdala's red alert being shut off when the points are stimulated, which is really exciting. So Dr. Dawson Church actually figured this out. Scientifically, he's done a ton of research. He's really all about the science behind it. So he did a triple blind study, basically the gold standard of scientific research. With his colleagues, they studied changes in cortisol level and psychological symptoms in 83 subjects after they received an hour-long EFT tapping session, an hour of conventional talk therapy, and no treatment, the control group. So in the tapping group, cortisol levels dropped an average of 24%, with some dropping all the way up to 50%, which is like unheard of. In the talk therapy and control groups, there was not even a significant enough change to measure it. Isn't that crazy? So when Dr. Church sent the samples to the lab, so they would take the blood before their session and after their session. So when he sent the samples to the lab, the cortisol levels in the blood of the participants of this study, he expected to get the results back in a few days' time to present the findings at a medical conference he was scheduled to speak at, but that didn't happen. So he was dismayed when the results were delayed for several weeks. Upon following up at the lab, he learned that they believed that there was either something wrong with the samples or with the equipment they were retesting, because they didn't believe the results. So they were basically so far beyond what the normal levels of cortisol level reduction looked like that they were convinced there must have been a mistake, and they wanted to run the test twice. Now, Dr. Church knew, like, he already knew what tapping was doing. And eventually they confirmed what he knew all along, that there had in fact been a dramatic and unprecedented reduction in cortisol levels. So at the time that he figured this out, this was like amazing information, and everybody was kind of blown away. So there's currently over 130 studies being conducted on EFT, and dozens have already demonstrated the effectiveness of tapping for a variety of disorders and issues. And if you go to tappingsolution.com/research, you can see they have tons of stuff listed there. And these studies are showing that EFT's efficacy regarding some of the most challenging issues we face as humans, like PTSD, trauma, phobias, and more. It's working. And even like recently, I know that the Veterans Affairs or whatever approved EFT tapping as a treatment for PTSD for soldiers. And there's so many like traditional psychotherapists who are now using EFT as a tool in their practice. And it's just really exciting to see. And I know Nick Ortner said recently that like, I'm trying to remember how many people they said have, they're estimating now has used tapping. It's like close to 1 million or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just guessing on that number, so don't quote me. So really quickly, I just wanted to tell you, now I use tapping a lot for belief work specifically, and to change experiences in my life that I'm having that I don't like. So I wanted to kind of just show you guys really quick here how this works and why it's so effective. So remember what Dr. Callahan was doing with Mary? He was retraining the limbic response in her brain by using exposure therapy. So what that basically means is that they expose someone over and over and over again to something to kind of try and tell the brain it's safe and nothing bad is going to happen. And this can be really traumatizing for some people. And sometimes it works, but not that much. So in exposure therapy, the person is exposed either in vivo or by imagining the scene or the event that creates a limbic response or that fight or flight. When you tap while recalling an unsettling scene from your childhood, you're doing the same modified version of exposure therapy. Tapping retrains the limbic response. So tapping as you trigger your fight or flight response sends the message that the amygdala can deactivate even though the threatening thought is still present. With the repetition, the hippocampus gets the message, this thing that you previously filed as dangerous is in fact not a threat. So the amygdala learns to not set off the alarm and you can remain calm, and the hippocampus now categorizes this experience as non-threatening. So this formerly upsetting event is now filed as no big deal, which is super exciting. So scientists speculate that retraining the limbic system in this way permanently alters your neural pathways in your brain. So the conditioned fear pathways in the amygdala are basically eliminated and you're creating new neural pathways. So to put it simply, you can develop new ways of thinking and perceiving the world, and you don't have to stay in your old fixed viewpoints, these old things that you learned from childhood, these debilitating thoughts, memories, fears. So the exciting thing is that EFT is safe and easy for everyone. You can't get it wrong, and it really is like the people's method for helping to heal yourself. So before we get into me teaching you how to do EFT, does anybody have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself or put your questions in the chat. I'm going to set my dog down here. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to kind of walk you through this, and then once I show you it, I will unshare my screen and you'll be able to see me and we'll actually do some tapping. So how do you do EFT? These are the steps. I'm going to read them to you real quick and then we'll walk through each one. So it's really easy to get started. You choose your MPI or most pressing issue. You rate the intensity of your MPI on a scale of 0 to 10. This is called the subjective units of distress scale. You craft a setup statement and then a reminder phrase. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words today. You tap on the karate chop point or the sore spot while repeating your setup statement 3 times. And you tap through the 8 points in the EFT sequence while saying your reminder phrase. You want to tap 5 to 7 times at each point. Once you have finished tapping the 8 points in the sequence, you can take a deep breath, take your suds again, and then repeat. And then I'm also going to teach you an alternate technique where you use the 9 gamut on the hand, which you would do between 2 rounds of tapping. So these are the points here on the right: top of the head, inside eyebrow, outside eyebrow, or side of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, the chin, the collarbone, and under the arm on your spleen point here. And that's the simplicity of it, is it just same round over and over again. Okay, so MPI, what's bothering you most? The easiest way to start tapping is to focus on your most pressing issue. We all have one. It's the issue, the problem, or the challenge that's dominating our mental and emotional space in the present. So things like maybe I have a pain and I've had a terrible backache for days, or I had a fight with my husband and I'm so angry. So this is, you know, an experience I may or may not have had in the past. This constant worry about money, or my boss is driving me crazy, or a fear of coronavirus, we'll throw that one in there. So some questions you can ask yourself if you're struggling to identify your MPI is, what is bothering me most right now? What's in the front of my mind? What can't I stop thinking about? What do I wish I could change? Where's my pain in my body? So sometimes I have an emotion, but I can't identify it. And so I'll stop and I'll just say, well, where do I feel it? Okay, it's in my chest, or maybe my throat's tight, or I have a headache. And so I'll just focus on the feeling instead of the emotion. You don't necessarily need to know what it is. You can also just sit down and like journal for a little bit, and that'll kind of help you to like notice what's going on, and then you can pick what you want to work on. So if you feel like you have many issues and you don't know where to start, you can write them all down and then rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 from, you know, most important to least. Once you have your MPI, you want to try and get more specific. So the more specific, the better. Your issue may be, I'm mad at my husband, or I'm mad at my wife. But you kind of want to try and get more specific. So I'm mad at my husband because of what he said to me last night, or I'm mad at my wife because she made me feel insignificant when, and then list it, right? So what did they do? What did they say? How did it make you feel? Ask questions to help you kind of narrow down, like try to get under that, like peel off the layers. So Your SUDS. Now that you know your most pressing issue, you want to give it a number on the scale. This is called SUDS, or subjective units of distress scale. So think about your MPI, feel it in your body, notice what it brings up, what level of distress does it bring to you. Now, if this is a traumatic event that you're trying to work on, I really suggest trying to do it with a practitioner, but if you can't, do not re-traumatize yourself. You can think about it without thinking about it. So like picture it like one of the techniques that we learn in classes called the movie technique. It's where you picture it like you're watching it as a movie instead of like you're in it. So that can help you to not distress yourself too much. You don't have to like re-traumatize yourself in order to work on something. So think about it, put yourself in it, but don't do it if that's going to traumatize you. Okay, so a 10 would be the most distress you can imagine, 0, no distress at all. So don't worry about getting the level exact, just follow your gut instinct. Think about your anger you feel towards your husband or your wife, or how much is your pain on a scale of 1 to 10. If you're really boiling, you might rate it at an 8 or a 9. If you're still feeling angry but cooled off a bit, you might rate it at a 5. Maybe your pain usually is at like a 10, but it's only at a 5. Rate it at whatever it's at in that moment. Sorry, excuse me, 1 second here. Whenever I teach, for some reason, my nose runs. Okay. So to see a significant shift in an issue, you want to start with something that rates a 5 or a higher, but if you don't have something that's over a 5, that's okay. Just work on whatever is most pressing for you. So crafting your setup statement and your reminder phrase. So your setup statement is what you're going to tap on what you're going to say when you tap on your karate chop point here on the fleshy part of your hand, which if you can't see me right now, I will be showing you soon, I promise. So now that you know your SUDS level, the next step is to craft what is called a setup statement. This brings forward the energy of your most pressing issue out of your subconscious and into your conscious mind, and it reminds the body what you want to work on. So we're telling the energy what we're working on. So the basic setup statement usually goes like this: even though, and then you fill in the blank. So right now, I'm feeling pretty good this morning actually, but maybe I'm worried about my son did wake up with a little bit of a cough this morning, my youngest. So I'm a little bit stressed out about that. So I could tap here and say, even though I'm worried that Jace has a cough and my whole family is going to get sick, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Or you can, it doesn't always have to be the same. You can change up your setup statement if you want to. So you could say, even though I am worried about Jace's cough and that our whole family is going to get sick, I surrender all my fear now. Or I choose, so you can say I choose and you can replace it with what you want to experience. So I choose to have peace about it and trust. Okay, so you might say something like, well, we kind of already went through that. So even though my back hurts, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Or even though I'm stressed out about upcoming work deadline, I choose to let go of this stress now. So you kind of just want to start with that even though. And if you struggle to say, I deeply and completely love and accept myself, you can say, I love and accept myself anyway. Or I choose to experience something different now. So the reminder phrase is the shorter statement that you're going to say while you tap through all the rest of the points. So you can usually want to get it down to 2 or 3 words. Sometimes you can go longer than that. So for instance, like if I'm talking about, I'm worried about Jace being sick, I could say this worry about Jace, or this worry about my family getting sick, or, you know, whatever, this fear. You could even just shorten it to like a fear. So if it's worry or fear, like get it down to just the emotion. And so you would tap through each point while saying that. So the reminder phrase is short. It's just a couple of words that bring to your mind your MPI. You will speak the phrase out loud at each point, tapping 5 to 7 times, and try to keep it as short as possible. You're repeating the reminder phrase out loud to remind you and your subconscious what you're working on. Once you get used to tapping, you can change the reminder phrase as you move through it, and you could do what I call chasing, which we're going to talk about next. So chasing is effective because you're getting everything involved in an issue. So you could start tapping by saying this anger towards my husband or this worry about Jace. And then maybe you notice a burning feeling in your stomach, and then you could say this burning in my stomach, this worry that's creating burning in my stomach, this fear and panic in my stomach, you know, whatever's coming up. And then you would tap through the points as you just identify what's coming up. So the cool thing about tapping is you start tapping, you say something 2 or 3 times, the energy will shift. It's that fast. And then it's like peeling off onions, or peeling off the layers of onions. And then you start to notice that, oh, there was something under this. Like, I might feel fear up here, but then maybe there's worry, and maybe there's like panic, or, you know, there's really 3 main core emotions, which is anger, fear, and joy. So almost always at the bottom, fear would be at the bottom. So like, or grief oftentimes. So what I find is that like anger's at the top, and then everything will usually be kind of under that. So when you chase, you effectively get all what we call aspects of an issue. So the more you can get all the aspects of an issue, the greater difference you're going to feel. And if you can get all the aspects, then you're gonna eliminate the issue as a whole, which is awesome. So what I've noticed though is some people will tap on something and then they're still experiencing the same issue, and it's because they didn't get all the aspects. So there may be a trauma from childhood attached to it, or there may be multiple traumas, and you would have to work on each one and clear each of them, which is something that, you know, you really, to get more effective on that kind of stuff, you'd probably want to work with a practitioner. So once you have a reminder phrase, you're ready to tap through the sequences, which we already kind of talked about, and here they are. So next, we're going to talk about lung tapping. So this is where we use the 9 gamut. For issues that have extreme distress, such as phobias, PTSD, this is what Gary Craig teaches for doing that. So the sequence always starts with the sore spot, which is right over your heart. So if you put your, let's see if you can, I'll show you guys if you can't see me now, but you put your hand over your heart, and it's this like like indentation kind of below your collarbone and between your shoulder. And if you rub it, you'll notice that it's sore. So when you're doing the long form of tapping, you always start with the sore spot and you just rub it, and then you would do your setup statement there 3 times. So the sequence always starts with the sore spot, moves through the regular 8 points, and then it moves to the 9 gamut, which is 2 points between, or which is you use the points on the hand, and then you use this dip in between your pinky and your ring finger, which I will show you guys in a little bit. So what this does when you're using this, it adds in these meridian points, which is the lung, the triple warmer, the heart, and oh my gosh, I always forget that last one. I can't remember why. I think there's actually 5. So unfortunately, I don't have them all memorized. Okay, so when you're using the 9 gamut, what it does is it accesses both sides of the brain, and it helps kind of disrupt that neural loop in the brain that it's actually really effective. So okay, so when you're doing the 9 gamut, you would do a whole round 9 gamut, then whole round again, and you would check in with your suds. So once you've completed that, now you do a check-in. You take a big deep breath, feel your body, notice what's happening, ask yourself, did the issue shift? Has my distress lessened? What thoughts came up for me while tapping? So I actually like to keep a piece of paper next to me when I'm tapping, and I write down any thoughts that come up. So what I'll find is that as I'm clearing something, my subconscious will reveal things to me that I didn't see before. And so I really like to keep a piece of paper next to me and take notes, because it can help you to really identify what the core issue is, which is really where you want to get, right? So you would take your new SEDS number. Maybe you were at an 8 and it brought you down to a 6. So then you would do another round. And then maybe you were at a 6 and it brought you down to a 4, and then you do another round. So sometimes this, when you're doing your check-in, it may require you to picture the event or the issue. So let's say like maybe I'm tapping on a really big argument I had with someone, and at the time I was feeling at an 8, and then when I go to check in, my SUDS kind of feels like not noticeable. And I'm like, am I at a 0? Well, to check in, you would try and replay the memory and then see if it brings up anything. And just thinking about it, you might go, oh, well, it's still kind of maybe at a 2, and I'd like to tap on that until I can get it down to a 0. So that can help you to kind of like see where you're really at, because sometimes you might think you're at a 0, but you can check in again in that way, and you'll notice that there's something different. But so just, I suggest you just keep chasing, keep peeling that onion until you get to the root. And you can almost always find that it goes back to some kind of childhood trauma or early life trauma or some kind of belief, right? So keep tapping until you find your most pressing issue is down to at least a 2, or you can clear it all the way down to a 0, but you'll notice a gigantic difference if you can get it down to at least a 2. So the tapping tree, so this is something that Nick Ortner teaches, and it's in the tapping solution, but it's something that I use a lot, kind of just as a visual for people. So the tapping tree helps you to identify targets. So the way I kind of look at this is like your hand, like I use my hand as a visual. The leaves of the tree are the emotions or trapped emotions. The branches are sub-beliefs, and then at the root or the trunk is a core false belief usually. So if you can, the trapped emotions are great. They help create a big shift in the way you feel. And then when you can start getting those beliefs, it's going to create a shift in what you experience. And then, if you can collapse enough sub-beliefs and traumas and things attached to it, then you can basically chop down that tree and get rid of that core false belief. So emotions are a good place to start. Anger is usually at the top. It's what I like to call a cover-up emotion. Under the anger is usually sadness, hurt, rejection, or grief. Start at the top and work your way down to the base emotions. So for instance, with a headache, it could be about something you don't want to think about, or a feeling pressure to do something you don't want to do, or feeling overwhelmed with thoughts so much so that your head feels like it'll burst. Physical symptoms are often symbolic. If you want to learn more about that, check out Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, The Body Keeps the Score, or Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Body. Those are amazing books. Below the emotions, you will usually find an event or a trauma. Then below that, or in conjunction with that, limiting beliefs that were created from this event or trauma. So for instance, you may have had to get up and give a presentation in school and you messed up and everyone laughed at you when you were a kid and you felt rejected. So you created this limiting belief about speaking in front of people and it's not safe and it's dangerous and humiliating. So then in turn, you create great distress in your adult life because every time you have to speak, you get nervous and you feel like you want to throw up or whatever, So that's that amygdala response, right? So by starting at the top of the tree and working your way down on an issue, or chasing, if you will, you'll help eliminate the traumas and limiting beliefs that hold you back in your life and keep you from creating the life you want. So tips, negative versus positive statements. So in tapping, we always do the negative first. And I often have people ask me, well, why do you do that? And I love the way Nick Hay says it, who actually, he got it from Louise Hay. It's, you have to see the dirt before you can clean the house. So denying your negative thoughts or beliefs doesn't make them go away. By taking some time to acknowledge them and getting honest with yourself, acknowledging your feelings is so important. Acknowledging your beliefs is so important. Bring them out of your subconscious and into your conscious mind so you can release them, and then you can be free of them. And you can change it up, switch it up, pick a new belief, new affirmation. So when weeds come up in your garden, it does no good to say, there's no weeds. What weeds? What are you talking about? I have no clue what you're talking about. Taking the time to pull out the weeds leaves you with this beautiful free space or this clear mind, and then you get to choose what you want to plant. You get to pick new affirmations. You get to create the life you want. EFT is not a mind eraser. We're not erasing all the old things that happened to you. We're just creating a new thought process or a new perspective, gaining new insight, and then we can grow from our experiences when we're not triggered by that trauma. So affirmations. I like to put in affirmations after you get rid of the weeds, because what happens is, so I'll just tell you a little experience I had. The very first time I ever started doing belief work, I worked on fear beliefs, and I released a ton of fear beliefs, and I didn't put in affirmations afterwards. And I walked around for 2 or 3 days with the weirdest feeling of like this emptiness. And I'd had these beliefs for so long that it was like my body was kind of panicking and it didn't know what to do when I didn't have those beliefs anymore. And so what I found is that when you put in affirmations afterwards, you're kind of creating these new neural pathways that your brain can then go to when you're having an experience. And you don't panic and you don't, have this feeling of not knowing what to do, because you have these new beliefs that are kind of leading you in this new direction with this new perspective. And then you get to choose, what you want to experience based on those new beliefs. So I definitely highly recommend putting in affirmations after you tap. What I notice often is that I will release the beliefs. I'll do the tapping to release, and then I feel really good. But then when I put in the affirmations, it's like I feel even 100% better. So definitely do that if you have the time. So when choosing affirmations, you can ask yourself questions like, what do I want to believe now? What kind of life would I like to lead? What emotions would I like to feel? How do I want to feel about this person or situation? And what do I want to attract now? So you can sometimes just sit down and like write those things down and then, you know, choose your beliefs based on that. Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen. And let's see. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Let's see, chat, there's nothing in the chat yet. Feel free to unmute yourself. I'll give you guys a second. Okay, so if nobody has any questions, what I'd like to do is have you guys post in the chat something you might be experiencing right now, if you feel free to share, and I could show you how to tap on it. So everybody just have at it. What emotions are you feeling right now? Do you have any fears? Do you have any beliefs that are coming up for you?
Can we just tell you, or
Yes,
do you want
sure,
us to write it?
Absolutely.
Just like tension in my jaw, like jaw tension. Like
awesome. Perfect. Okay, this is a great way to start. Picking a pain in the body. Okay, so what's your SUDS, Ellen?
It's probably like an 8. It was a 10, but I did do some stuff. Yeah, but I think it's an 8.
Okay, so you guys can tap along if you want. You can pop in another pain in the place of jaw pain, but I'm going to kind of show you with Ellen here how to do it. So you would start on your karate chop point, which I know you know how to do this, Ellen, but I'm going to walk you through it.
Okay. No, thank you.
So you start on your karate chop point. You'd say, now let me ask you this first. What does the pain feel like? Is it tension?
It's like tight. It's like tight and
Perfect.
gripping. Like,
yeah. Perfect. Okay, so you would say, even though I have this tight and gripping pain in my jaw.
And do I repeat it, or do you want me to repeat it? Okay, so even though I have this tight and gripping pain in my jaw,
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have this tight and gripping pain in my jaw.
I have this tight and gripping pain in my jaw.
Like I'm bracing for something.
Like I am bracing for something.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Make sure you breathe during it. Even though I have this tight and gripping pain in my jaw.
I have this tight and gripping pain in my jaw.
And I'm actually feeling it in the back of your shoulders right here, too.
Yes.
And this pain in the back of my shoulders. I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Big deep breath. And then I start up at the top of the head. Nick Ortner starts here. It doesn't matter where you start.
Okay. Oh, so I feel that.
Whatever feels good to you. So for this one, I would just say this tight pain in my jaw.
This tight pain in my jaw.
This tight pain in my jaw and neck.
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 This bracing pain in my jaw and neck.
This bracing pain in my jaw and neck.
Do you have any emotions or thoughts that are coming up while we're tapping?
Yeah, worry, fear.
Okay. This worry and fear.
This worry and fear,
that
anxiety.
Is causing this pain in my jaw.
It's causing my pain in my jaw.
This worry and fear that is causing this pain in my jaw.
This worry and fear causing this pain in my jaw.
Now, I can feel a little bit of shift in her, so we could start putting in some affirmations. So she could say something like, I choose to release this tension now.
I choose to release this tension now, yes.
It is safe for me to release this tension in my jaw.
It's safe for me to release this tension in my jaw. Holy cow, it's like already less.
Yeah, it is safe for me to release this tension in my jaw.
It's safe for me to release this tension in my jaw.
I can release this worry now.
I can release this worry now.
I am safe.
I am safe.
My kids are safe.
My kids are safe.
My family is safe.
My family is safe.
We are all safe. Woo! I can feel that grief.
Woo, yep.
I am safe
Oh,
to release all this grief and worry now.
I am safe to release all this grief and worry now.
It is safe for me to release this grief and worry now.
It's safe for me to release this grief and worry now.
Whew.
I know I'm gonna yawn.
Man, that's intense. So I feel like some stuff coming up in her lungs right here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then she could, so we're doing some chasing here. So she could say, this grief in my lungs.
This grief in my lungs.
Make sure you breathe that out. This grief in my lungs.
This grief in my lungs.
All this grief and worry in my lungs.
All this grief and worry in my lungs.
It is safe for me to release this fear now.
It's safe for me to release this fear now.
I am safe.
I am safe.
My kids are safe.
My kids are safe.
My family is safe.
My family is safe.
I choose to relax.
I choose to relax.
I am the picture of peace and calm.
I am the picture of peace and calm.
I release all worry and fear now.
I release all worry and fear now.
I am safe.
Whew. I am safe.
Whew. I can feel joy and happiness.
I can feel joy and happiness.
I can relax and feel peace.
I can relax and feel peace.
I breathe easily, knowing I am safe now.
I breathe easily knowing I'm safe now.
Okay, so she feels good to me. Tell me your suds now.
Holy cow, like 2.
Yay! See how quickly and effective that works?
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Let's see. Tani. So I love Tani. She always describes everything in colors. So she has icky red, orange energy swirling in her gut. Do you want to work on this, Tani? You can unmute yourself if you'd like to be an example.
Hi, Holly. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, I tapped along when you guys did it,
Uh-huh.
and I did the release on that, and now I have it's like all caught in my upper stomach, and it's
I
coming
feel it's right in your diaphragm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, I feel that too.
It's on the right.
Of course you do, you Crystal.
It doesn't feel good. Let's get rid of that. Yeah.
You want to work on that, Tani?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, let's start here.
Okay.
Okay, so what's your suds?
8.
8. Okay. So tell me, is there any emotions with it?
I feel like I'm not grounded at all, and I'm flying around.
Yeah, kind of floaty, and you're being carried away by other people's energy.
Yep, and I can't get it under control.
You're a crystal too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you poor crystals, you're all just suffering so much through all this. Okay, so we'll start here. And so I want you to say, even though I have this, I'm just going to describe it, this icky feeling
in
my diaphragm.
And crawling up my
I
throat.
could float. What?
And crawling up my throat.
Okay, and I feel like I could float away at any moment.
And I feel like I could float away at any moment.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Even though I'm finding it hard to ground. And I'm feeling so affected by other people's energy. I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. And I choose to release all energy that does not belong to me now. Whew. Even though I have everybody's energy stuck in my gut. I choose to release this energy now. There you go. Because I know it does not belong to me. Okay. Now we're going to go up here, and I want you to just say, this stuck energy in my diaphragm.
This stuck energy in my diaphragm.
This stuck energy in my diaphragm. What does it feel like?
A yawn that's not coming out.
Okay. It feels hard to release.
It feels hard to release.
It feels really stuck.
It feels really stuck.
And I feel it in my sternum.
I feel it in my diaphragm.
Yeah, wherever it's at. Describe where it's at.
In my throat under my chin.
Okay, the stuck energy in my throat under my chin.
It's stuck in my lungs.
Okay, keep tapping through those points while you describe how it feels.
It's stuck in my right lung. High.
Okay, the stuck energy in my right lung.
I'm moving. The stuck energy.
So it feels like it's kind of bouncing around.
Yeah.
So it feels like for some reason, you feel like you need to hold on to it. So I would go up here and I would just say, feeling like I can't release this energy.
Feeling like I can't release this energy.
Feeling like it's hard to release this energy.
Feeling like it's hard to release this energy.
It just keeps bouncing around and I can't get rid of it.
It's bouncing around and it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah. But I recognize that it's not mine.
But I recognize it's not mine.
And it is safe for me to release it now.
And it is safe for me to release it now.
I choose to release it now.
I choose to release it now.
It is not mine and I no longer need to hold it.
And it's not mine and I no longer need to hold it.
And so I release it now.
And so I release it now.
It is safe for me to release it now.
It's safe for me to release it now. It went.
Okay, good. Okay. Side note, that felt like it was actually your children's and you were holding it onto it for them. So
Okay, that's about normal.
nothing new, right? It's safe to release it, Tony. You don't need to hold on to it.
I got rid of it. Yay, thank you.
And I promise it won't go back to them. Just release it into the energetic recycling bin.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so Jeannie, she has chronic pain in her knees. Would you like to work on this, Jeannie?
I would.
Awesome. Let's do it. Tell me your suds.
It's probably an 8. And just a heads up, I have worked on this quite a bit.
Okay.
My knee pops, popping sound when I get up, sit down and get up. And I think it's a lot of scar tissue. So it's like something's attached or not letting the scar tissue melt, because I've tried to use energy to melt it and laser it out and whatnot, and
Interesting.
I'm not finding the root.
Okay, so, I took my Feelings Buried Alive, Never Die Home. I don't know if you've ever looked at that book, but
yeah.
These are usually about like moving forward or path in life. Actually, I have it on my phone here. Let me look it up.
Oh.
What's that?
I have the book.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and I looked at it. I know it's about authority. It's about this. It started in 2012. Started with a huge incident of anger. But I've just had chronic pain throughout my whole body. It's been a journey. You know how some of us get to have these autoimmune experiences? This is one of those.
So they're good teachers for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so what did you say your SUDS was?
It's at least an 8. It could be a 9.
Okay, is it both knees or just one, or?
Well, they both hurt, but the right one's much worse.
But I thought I felt that. Okay, so let's, I'm getting to work on the right one for some reason. So let's just focus on that one,
Okay.
if that's cool with you.
Yes.
And so let's see. Now tell me, does the pain like burn, tingle? Is it just a low? What does it feel like?
Oh.
Is it like an aching sensation?
Yes. When you're just really stiff and you can't move it, that's what it feels like.
Does it hurt worse when you move it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if I sit still, it doesn't hurt. Just when I want to walk. When I want to walk and move. Oh my gosh.
That feels very symbolic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start right here. And we'll say, even though My
I'm
right
already
knee.
yawning. I'm sorry, say it again. Even though I have chronic pain, yeah.
Even though my right knee
Even though my right knee
hurts when I move it,
hurts when I move it,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself anyway.
love and accept myself anyway.
Even though my right knee
Even though my right knee
has this energy of being held back,
has this energy of being held back,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself anyway.
love and accept myself anyway.
Even though my right knee
Even though my right knee
hurts when I move it
hurts when I move it
because it feels tied down,
because it feels tied down,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself anyway.
love and accept myself anyway.
Okay, so I just want you to say this pain in my right knee,
This pain in my right knee,
this pain in my right knee.
this pain in my right knee,
My knee hurts when I move it.
my knee hurts when I move it.
This pain in my right knee. And you can kind of alternate back and forth.
Pain in my right knee,
Pain in my right knee.
this pain in my right knee,
The scar tissue in my right knee.
the scar tissue in my right knee,
The scar tissue that's preventing my knee from moving.
the scar tissue that's preventing my knee from moving,
The scar tissue that's holding my right knee back.
the scar tissue that's holding my right knee back,
This energy of being immovable.
this energy of being immovable.
My knee feels immovable.
My knee feels immovable.
So I'm feeling some fear coming up. Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, but it's more fear of, I'm so tired of this not healing. So I think the
Okay.
fear is more of that. Yeah.
Okay. This fear, I will never heal this.
This fear that I will never, boy, that's bringing up emotion. Never
Woo!
heal.
I feel that. This fear, I will never be able to heal this.
This fear that I will never be able to heal this.
This fear that it's not fixable.
This fear that it's not fixable.
All this fear in my body
All this fear in my body
that I'll never be free of this.
that I'll never be free of it.
All this fear in my body.
All this fear in my body.
I just want you to keep tapping on that fear until you feel it dissipate. All this fear in my body.
The word power is coming up, that I don't have the power to heal.
Okay,
Yeah.
this fear that I don't have the power to heal this.
This fear that I don't have the power to heal this. And now the thought is, but you do have the power.
Okay, so if it feels like you're already shifting into that, just say, I believe I have the power to heal this.
You have the power to heal this.
I believe there's a way.
I believe there's a way.
I believe that it will come to me.
I believe it will come to me.
I am open to the energy of receiving the answers
I am open to receiving the energy of the answers
to heal my knee.
to heal my knee.
I believe it's possible to heal my knee.
I believe it's possible to heal my knee.
I believe that the answers are coming to me.
I believe the answers are coming to me.
I know that I can heal this.
I know I can heal this.
I know this is fixable.
I know this is fixable.
I believe that all things are fixable.
I believe all things are fixable. The
I'm
thought is,
open-
my body wants to heal.
My body wants to heal this.
Yes, my body wants to heal this.
I'm open to the energy of healing.
I'm open to the energy of healing.
I am receiving healing now.
I am receiving healing now.
Healing belongs to me.
Healing belongs to me.
God wants me to heal.
God wants me to heal.
And I receive that healing now.
I receive that healing now.
Woo. I am healing on all levels
I am healing on all levels,
every day.
every day.
Healing belongs to me and I embrace it.
Healing belongs to me and I embrace it.
My knee is healing.
My knee is healing.
All the answers are coming to me.
All the answers are coming to me.
I believe that I can heal now.
I believe I can heal now.
And I have unlimited amounts of hope.
And I have unlimited amounts of hope.
Whew. I am open to the idea
I'm open to the idea
that I can be healed in this moment.
that I can be healed in this moment.
Healing is now
Healing is now
a part of my belief system.
a part of my belief system.
So how's your knee feeling now when you move it? What's your suds?
Well, yeah, it's still pretty stiff.
Okay.
But
So then what you would do, but is the pain any different? Like, do you notice the pain's any less?
you know, I'd actually have to get up and walk around because
Okay.
I'm sitting.
So like if you notice that it's still stiff, what I would do is focus on just the stiffness.
Okay.
So like I would say the stiffness in my knee, the stiffness in my knee, and I'd probably throw in the 9 gamut since this is a bigger issue. So the 9 gamut, I'm just going to show you guys since I didn't show you before, I forgot about that. So what you do is on your hand, you would, on the edges of each fingernail is where the meridian points are. So you just tap on the edge of your thumb and you would say the phrase, tap on the edge of your pointer finger, the middle finger, you skip the ring and you go to the pinky. And then this one covers the one on the ring. And so then you would tap on this dip in between your hands. And so you would say like, this stiffness in my knee, this stiffness in my knee, this stiffness in my knee, this stiffness in my knee. And then you would tap right here and you would hum. So I usually just do Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Stars. So I go, and then you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you hum again. And then you'd go up here and you'd start a new round. This stiffness in my knee, this stiffness in my knee, this stiffness in my knee. My knee feels immovable. So just heads up, I was feeling, Jeannie, that whatever's going on in your knee is about some kind of immovable energy. So maybe explore that. It felt pretty clear to me. It was like I kept getting this image of like your knee being stuck and like not wanting to move. And so it felt like something that needs to be either like you want to let go but feels hard to let go, possibly. There might be some trauma around it. I don't know. But that's what I just kept getting, this image of like immovable energy. So maybe explore that. Let's see. Thanks for letting us tap with you, Jeannie. Okay. Kaylin, I'm seeing you have some anxiety about negative energies in your body. Would you like to tap on that? Oh, hold on one sec, guys. I just need to text my next client. Okay, so yes, I can go over the 9 gamut real quick, Tawny. So you would do, so usually Gary Craig starts with the sore spot. So you put your hand over your heart and it's this like right here in this dip, right under your collarbone. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then this between the shoulders. So it's like that spot right there. And then you would rub it. And so you would say your setup statement there. So like an example using what we worked on with Jeannie, this soreness or this stiffness in my knee. So even though I have this stiffness in my knee, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have this stiffness in my knee, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have this stiffness and immovable energy in my knee, I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. Then you tap through the points, then you would come to the hand, this stiffness in my knee, this stiffness in my knee, the stiffness in my knee, skip ring fingers, the stiffness in my knee. And then you would come to this 9 gamut point and you would tap and you would hum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What that does is it activates both sides of the brain. And then you come and you do another round. The stiffness in my knee, the stiffness in my knee, the stiffness in my knee. And you want to take your suds in between each full round. They call it the sandwich. That's what I like to call it. So I hope that was clear. So the cool thing about the hand points is like when I'm in public and I don't want to do a full round, I will just sit there and I will just tap on my hand points when I want to work on something. So another thing that you can do is right after the spleen point, you can actually just tap right here across your wrist. When I originally learned to tap, you'll see some of my tapping videos on YouTube, I use the wrist point. This actually covers all the 9 gamut points just in one tap. So there's lots of other tapping points like, let's see if I can show you guys. So you can't see it on your on your knees right here, you can tap on these points, and there's also on the back of the legs, there's some points that, you know, we kind of learn our opposite points, and then there's also one on the back of the neck that you can use where you just hold the back of the neck, and you would say. And then one other technique that you can use is if you find tapping to be, oh, sorry, had a delay there. If you find tapping to be kind of like, let's say you have a major headache and just tapping on your face is like painful, you can actually do what they call the tap and hold, is where you, or the hold, I think this was called tap and hold, and you just hold the points, like kind of just with a little bit of pressure, not too much, while you tap and move through the points. But tapping is more effective. So when you can tap, it's better, because what it does is it disrupts that energy system, or it kind of gets it shaking so the energy moves. So, okay. So you can, you can use the heart spot. So like when you're doing your setup statement, I usually only do it in the beginning, unless let's say I'm chasing and I find that a whole new issue comes up, then I start over. So like, let's say I'm tapping on some anger and I find out that it's actually really about grief that I have over feeling rejected. So then I would start over and I would say, even though I have all this grief about being rejected, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Or you can use the sore spot. You can switch these two up. And another thing I forgot to tell you guys is it doesn't matter what side of your face you tap on. You can do all the points on either side. Either side, doesn't matter. And you really can't get it wrong. And you can even switch, like I can do one over here and then move over here, or, you know, whatever. So you just really can't get it wrong. That's the thing, is tapping is so like foolproof. That's the amazing thing about it. So that's kind of how I know, like when, or that's how I use the setup statement, is when I'm kind of touching on a new issue. So I'm kind of trying to tell the energy a new thing to work on. Okay, so does anybody else have anything they want to work on? I don't know if Kaylin is still here, but if she would like to, I could work on
I
that.
am. I'm still here.
Awesome.
Yes.
Would you like to work on your anxiety?
I'd love to.
Awesome. Okay, so why don't you, would you like to get more specific, or would you like to tell me where you feel it in your body?
It takes mostly just like up in my chest, like around my heart. Just really feel it.
Around your heart. Okay. What's your sense?
10.
10. Okay. Is there any emotions that come with it?
Fear.
Fear. Okay. So let's start right here. So is it top of your chest? Like up here?
I'd say middle. Like
Middle? Okay.
Right at the that breastplate area, right in between.
Okay. So kind of like right here.
Yeah, but right. Yeah.
Okay. And then does it feel like it's on both sides or just over your heart?
Like I feel like it's kind of like in the middle, but like going out to both sides.
Okay. So is it radiating then?
I think so.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking you lots of questions is you want to get as specific as possible. So like really describe your pain. This helps to your body to know what to work on. So
Okay.
we'll start on your karate chop point, and I want you to tap and say, even though I have all this anxiety and fear.
Even though I have all this anxiety and fear.
In my chest.
In my chest.
I deeply and completely.
I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Even though I have all this anxiety in my chest.
Even though I have all this anxiety in my chest.
That is radiating outward.
That is radiating outward.
I deeply and completely.
I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
So this feels kind of stuck to me. So I'm going to add that word in, and I would say, even though.
Even though.
I have all this stuck anxiety in my chest.
I have all this stuck anxiety in my chest.
I deeply and completely.
I deeply and completely.
Love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
So I'm feeling some grief here. Does that feel true to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
That could be true too. Yeah.
So I'm going to have you start up here, and we'll just say this grief and fear in my chest.
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 Do you feel like you want to cry?
Yeah. You
Okay,
look
so
like you want to cry too.
yeah. So just say this crying energy in my chest.
This crying energy in my chest.
This grief and fear in my chest.
Grief and fear in my chest.
It makes me feel like I want to cry.
Makes me feel like I want to cry.
This grief and fear in my chest.
It's grief and fear in my chest.
Woo, that makes me feel like I want to cry.
Makes me feel like I want to cry.
You're resisting it, girl.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to cry?
If you want to cry, if you feel like you need to cry, yes, because you need to release it. So just say, it's safe for me to release this grief and fear.
It's safe for me to release this grief and fear.
It's safe for me to release this grief and fear.
It's safe for me to release this grief and fear.
It's safe for me to feel my emotions. There you go. And if you can't talk, you can just tap through the points as you just let yourself feel whatever's coming up for you. This will help kind of move that energy. Safe for me to feel my emotions. Now you can think the thoughts or phrases in your mind. It's better to say them out loud. But if you can't, it's okay. You can just say them in your mind. It's safe for me to feel my emotions. There you go. It's safe for me to feel my emotions. I can feel my emotions without letting them overwhelm me. I feel and process my emotions easily. It's okay to feel what I'm feeling. All this grief and fear.
Mom, do you know what my onesie is?
No, I'm on the phone right now, girls. Can you just give me a minute?
Mom!
Can you just get out for like 5 minutes, okay?
Who is that?
It's this my friend. Go out.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Go out, please. Sorry. Come on.
It's okay. I have 4 boys. I know how it goes. Kids always seem to interrupt at the most inopportune times.
Yeah, I mean, they had the whole hour.
So you can just keep tapping, and then what you can do is you can put in a couple of good affirmations now if you feel like it.
Okay.
So you could say, what would you like to experience feeling? Let me ask you that. Maybe peace and calm?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can tap and say, I choose to feel peace and calm now.
I choose to feel peace and calm now.
I can release all fear, grief, and worry.
I can release all fear, grief, and worry.
I am the picture of peace and calm.
I am the picture of peace and calm.
I feel my whole body with peace and calm.
I feel my whole body with peace and calm.
I allow only positive energies to flow in my body.
I allow only positive energies to flow in my body.
It is safe for me to release all this fear and worry.
It is safe for me to release all this fear and worry.
I am now free from the memory
I am now free from the memory
of when this grief and worry overwhelmed me.
of when this grief and worry overwhelmed me.
It is easy for me to feel peace and calm.
It is easy for me to feel peace and calm.
I can choose joy and happiness in any situation.
I can choose joy and happiness in any situation.
It's positive for me to feel joy at all times.
It's positive for me to feel joy at all times.
I can choose how to feel in any given moment.
I can choose how to feel at any given moment.
And I choose now to choose joy and happiness.
And I choose now to feel joy and happiness.
There you go. So tell me, what's your suds now?
Well,
feel better?
the anxiety is gone in my chest for sure.
Good. I do still feel you definitely got some stuff there in your lungs, I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Do you know, are you able to like pick a suds number? Do you know?
Like 3.
Okay, that's good. Awesome. Well, you can totally keep tapping on that in your own time. Just that you really can't get it wrong. You can even just describe what you're feeling in any moment as you tap through the points, and that can help you to reduce what you're feeling.
Okay.
So,
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? I do have to go here in just a minute, but happy to answer any last minute questions.
Just thank you so much, Holly.
Yeah, thanks for coming today.
Yeah, feel better. So thank you.
Good. I'm so glad that everyone was able to be here today. It was awesome to have you on.
And I told my friend Colleen about it. She came on for a little while and then left, but
Okay.
hopefully,
Well, I did record it this time, so I'll be posting the video later, and then I am going to send out an email with the excuse me. I'm going to send out an email with the workshop workbook that has all the instructions for tapping, so you don't have to try and remember how to do it on your own if this is the first time you've ever done it. And so if you were not in my original, if you didn't put your email in my original sign up for this class, if you go to my business page on Facebook at Intuitive Mind Wellness, just you can either message me or email, or you can comment under the post that this was on my Facebook, and just leave me your email if you feel safe to leave it there. And then when I send out the link to the recording to this and the workbook, I'll get it out to everyone who wants it. So
thank you. I'll just probably message you. So.
Awesome. Okay, well, all you guys, thanks for coming. I hope you have a lovely Saturday, and I hope you all feel lots of peace and joy, and don't forget to tap when you're feeling overwhelmed and worried. And I do, just for anybody else who wants some extra help, I have a YouTube channel. It's Intuitive Mind Wellness, and I have a bunch of tapping script follow-along videos there. So I have like fear, anxiety, overwhelmed one's my favorite personally, and a bunch of other videos. So if you don't really want to do it on your own, but you'd still like to do it, you can go to my YouTube page. And also, another favorite resource is Brad Yates. If you YouTube him, he has tons and tons and tons of videos. And also my other favorite tool is the Tapping Solution app. They have really awesome follow along, super easy, like 10 to 15 minute videos, and I always feel so amazing afterwards. So highly, highly recommended.
What was the guy's name? Brad what?
Brad Yates, Y-A-T-E-S.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, and then also, if you follow the Tapping Solution on Facebook, a lot of the times they'll post free tapping videos there as well. So they call them tapping meditations, same thing, but they're really awesome. Nick Ortner and his sister Jessica both run that, and they're both just really amazing. So, okay, guys, well, I will let you go. Hope you all have a good rest of your day. Love you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Love you. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.